Right. Looks like we're recording. It's all going well, I believe.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm recording.
It's all lights on. Time's running.
Yeah, we're recording on this end, but to be honest with you, I will tell you whether it's gone well afterwards. So
Okay.
Yeah, I listened to last week's show. You wouldn't know that you'd had to do some filling
I haven't
in.
listened to it yet.
Let's get ready to rumble!
now let's kick this thing off. Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema, watches films, stays at home on the couch, watches films, rates them all out of 5, and tells you which one is better. Which one is the better bang for your buck this week? Where are you better off spending your money? And this is the podcast that also realizes this week that 3 is the magic number. Because after last week, we had superfan Nina, who got in touch and said, it was a good show, but you know what? I do miss Sharon. So Sharon.
No, bless.
Sharon, how are
Hey!
you? Sharon, welcome back. Welcome back on the podcast. How are you
Oh,
feeling?
thank you. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I had time to get home, get clean, get fed and have a drink, and so I'm perfectly fit for the show this evening. Whereas last week I had none of those things ready by the time we sort of go on air.
All right.
So yes, it's been a better week this week for fitting everything in. But you did have my written present.
Oh, yes. Oh, good Lord.
Which I heard.
You know what? I reckon, right? You know how people say that on, like, nowadays with Twitter and everything like that, people are a lot meaner on Twitter than they would ever be in person. I think the same applies here, that you were a lot meaner to that film when you were writing than I reckon you would have been if you were sat here.
Well, I think you tend to be more concise, so I was thinking, okay, I could rant about this film, but let's just distill this into 2 or 3 paragraphs so that you could read it without getting bored. So I was like, I'm going to distill my rage into 2 easy sentences.
You were raging, all right. I could see it in your face. I don't think I've ever seen you like that before.
No,
Sam.
I did not
really,
like
really
that
did not
film.
like that movie at all.
I did not. The whole premise of it, the whole, what can we do to make John Rambo really upset? I know, let's just sexually torture his niece.
Yeah.
It was all about him. Oh, don't get me started. Don't stop me.
No, okay.
Anyway, yeah. I haven't reviewed my score. I'm still only going to give it 1 star.
Okay, but if it's any consolation, it seems like most of the world agreed with you, Sharon.
Did they?
Yes. And also, okay, so I spoke about superfan Nina, who is the unofficial 4th host of this show, pretty much, because she's pretty much here every week with us in spirit. And also, in the past, there was a time when Sharon, there were a couple of shows that we did and it was just the 2 of us, and she said, oh, you know what, that was really, really good, but you know what, I do miss Shaun. So hey Shaun, how are you doing?
Hi, thanks guys. Hi everyone, how are you today? And thank you for that.
Well, you see, now this is the thing. I just think that it's one of those things. It's like 3 is the magic number. It takes the 3 of us to put. Actually, what I need to figure out is what happens if we took one of us but replaced that one with somebody else. Huh.
Oh.
Oh, okay. You see, now because the 2 of you are actually in the same place on the Isle of Wight, you could very easily do this without me. You could just pull in a 3rd person, do something, and figure out. Oh, we see. That's who was holding us back this entire time. It was him.
We couldn't do this.
We're not that sort of people, Tosin. You should know that.
Oh yeah, I totally know that. That's why I rest assured. That's why I don't.
We would never cut you adrift.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't try harder. That's why I do not try harder.
Yeah. You're the sun. We're just your satellites. We just orbit around you, Toes.
Sharon, you see, I think writing that review last week has released something in you. I think it's released something in you. Like, oh yes, prose. It's been in me the whole time.
Well, I try to conceal it.
Okay, have you guys got the headphones in, because I can hear myself?
No, yes, we've definitely got them in.
Okay, all right. Okay, it's better now because I was hearing myself echoing back for a second.
Oh, that was just for a moment there.
Okay.
Hello?
Cool. Hello?
Oh, you're there?
Yes.
Oh, there's your little face. No, your little face has come on the phone, and I thought it had been around. There's a big smiley face with your Peaky Blinders cap.
Oh, yes.
A couple of razor blades, I see.
With Peaky. That's my WhatsApp picture. I took that on the set of a show called the Last Dragon Slayer or something like that. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay.
It was some Christmas thing. It was some Christmas thing on Sky One about 2 years ago.
Yes, I know it. Yeah, I know the one.
Yeah, and I sat around on set for the whole day and never got filmed. But hey,
It happens.
It happens. That's showbiz for you. That is the glamour, but at least you do get paid. But
I was going to say, sorry, Toast, about in there. Sharon, do you ever look at the extras now more?
I do every
On
time. I do
occasions?
glance my
Yeah, I
eyes
glance
across
about
them now.
and think,
yeah.
who's that lady there walking past? Or are you looking in the shop window or whatever? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's quite funny, really.
Well,
Is that cinema now?
Yeah.
is that what? Ever since I started doing my extras,
I guess so.
adventures,
Yeah.
you guys are like, oh, we might see somebody we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just you, because you're the only extra we know. Well, I know another one, but yeah, you're the main extra we know.
Okay, all right, cool. So now, I don't know about you, but I'm sat up here in the Midlands. I'm sat up here in my outdoor coat. I've got like really, really furry slippers on, straight up refusing to turn the heating on. I don't know what it's like down on the island, which is of course the sunniest place in the UK. What is it like?
It's cooling down. It's
Yeah,
definitely cooling down.
Yeah, definitely colder.
I'm definitely into my long trousers now for work, and I have got my one-up hoodie on. I have my very thin hoodie for the summer, and then I've got one up before I start hitting coat territory. So I'm in my warmer hoodie for work. So you know that
I
it's
will
getting
start on
colder.
the under vest. I will start on my old man vests really soon.
Yeah.
My old man white vests, and then
Yeah.
sometimes when I get up and I've got the white vest on, I feel like Marlon Brando in
Because-
A Streetcar Named Desire. You know what I mean? I think, perhaps I don't look so bad. Maybe if I beeped up a bit, I could be that Marlon Brando.
In your wife beater, as the Americans
Oh no, I
call
wouldn't.
them,
No,
don't
no,
they?
that's true.
No,
Yeah,
you
wife.
don't want-
Yeah, that's it. No, that's what.
They
Wife
call
beaters.
them wife
yeah.
beaters, don't
Wife,
they?
right,
yeah,
yeah.
wife beaters.
You
they call
know
them
the
that.
ones I mean, don't you? With the white. Yeah.
Yeah, I
just-
prefer
Yes.
like a die-hard
Yeah.
vest.
I might have to get one of those holy ones. Ones with all
The
the
string
crochet
vest.
string vest.
Oh, the string vest.
I
Yeah, the string vest.
don't know if they're any good.
Yeah.
I've never
that's
worn
like-
vests up until about last year.
That's like Rab C.
There's a
Nesbitt.
Yeah,
That
that's
is,
him.
yeah.
Okay, so right.
On with the show.
On with the show. But before we start proper, I just have to say something, and this is something that I am actually really, really, I'm kind of weirdly proud of, because the show last week. I remember after we finished recording it, I took the card out of the recording machine, put it in, and I remember sending a message to you guys going, "Oh my god, I can't believe this!" That I had somehow, through a quirk of technology, I had recorded everything that Shaun had said and nothing that I had said. So, so essentially, I had this whole track of just Shaun talking and responding to things I had said, which I couldn't hear. So I had like about 2 days, because we recorded it on a Wednesday last week and we usually release the podcast on a Friday. And I had 2 days of sitting down and essentially playing Shaun and listening to everything Shaun said, and then going back and saying what I think I said. Saying what I thought I said. So there was a bit where I was just playing Shaun and then having a conversation with a Shaun that wasn't there. It was it was really surreal.
Good experience. Good experience for another time.
Yeah, I know.
But it sounded good. I listened to the show. It sounded good.
Yeah, and this is the thing. And so far, we haven't had anybody who's gotten in touch and said, "Oh my god, what the heck? That sounds like so weird." So that's just. I just thought let the cat out of the bag. If anybody listened to last week's episode, fooled you. But I think you might still have figured something was weird. But we're going to carry on with the show. First up, we're going to have an Also Rans, and we have a little bit of a record because this is the first time we have a film that has shown up twice on an Also Rans section, and that film is
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey. So quickly, Sharon,
Downton Abbey.
Yes.
you went to see it.
Yes.
And you've heard
I
what
went to
Shaun
see it
said
this
last week.
Yes, I heard Shaun's review. So, I think it was an okay film. It felt like an extended episode of the television series.
Yep.
And I'd only watched the first 2 or possibly 3 seasons of the show, so I had no idea how the characters had evolved and what had happened to them. So it was interesting trying to work out what had happened to whom.
Yep.
But the story itself was quite a simple story, the visit of the king, and then all these sort of side issues. But so yeah, it was. If you're a fan of the show, I bet you'd loved it. If you were like a casual viewer like me, it was entertaining enough for an hour and a half. I couldn't have stand it if it had gone much longer than that. But it was what it was. I mean, nice dresses, some swooshy dancing, and not much tension. So it is what it is. It was fine, and I'd give it a 3.
All right, cool, good. So you and Shaun are in agreement there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did because I didn't know nothing about it, and it was I didn't find myself getting.
There's nothing offensive.
No.
I know one of my friends thought where they'd had sort of scenes of homosexual life in sort of the 1920s in York, how they had like this underground club. She said she felt that was a little bit of a distraction to the story because it was like suddenly it was like a side. It should have been more of an issue, but it was treated like a.
It was more
side
like
story.
some American speakeasy place, wasn't it? Did you think rather than?
Well, yes, I didn't recognise it as anything sort of British really, but it was a bit of a side. And she said that was a bit distracting because it either should have been more of it or it shouldn't have been in there at all. So. That was the only sort of quibble one of my friends had. But on the whole, I thought, there's nothing to offend anyone in it.
Did you like the plumber? That's all I want to know.
The plumber?
Or the plumber, the guy that comes
Oh, yeah,
in.
he was just a smiley bloke, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was all right.
Because I went to see it with a couple of people, and I asked them, well, in fact, there was three girls, and I asked them, and they all said that, 2 of them said the plumber, and the other one said...
The footman.
Yeah, something like that.
Of the 2, I would have gone with the plumber.
Oh, well, there you go, see.
Yeah.
Plumber, he's only in it for like a little...
If I had a choice between the footman and the plumber, I would have gone for the plumber.
Okay, thanks.
He's probably good with his hands.
Okay.
But let's not go there.
Let's not go there.
This is beginning to sound a little bit like...
I knew I should have done a different career. No, only joking. Let's go.
This is beginning to sound like some sort of weird Downton Abbey fan fiction.
Yeah, let's not go there. Right, yes, so that was my Downton review, and also ran, and yes, it's okay.
All right, cool. So, okay for the Downton Abbey movie.
Yes.
All right, and now we're gonna get onto our round. So this week we have 4 rounds, so we're gonna try and move through them quickly. And so the first round we're gonna start off with in the cinema corner, representing cinema. It is Ad Astra. Now, Sharon, I believe this is the only film this week that you have seen, besides Downton Abbey.
Yes, this is my cinema trip. I haven't really had much time to do any other television or anything viewing.
Sharon, you keep making Shaun and I look really, really bad. You make it look like you have a life and there's things that you can do out. You have other things and other things going on in your life, and Shaun and I have nothing but the unrequited love of the screens that we gaze at.
Of the screen.
But anyway.
Yes, I'm lucky if I can catch one episode of Forged in Fire. I mean, that's if I'm really lucky. So yes, I just managed the 2 trips to the cinema this week. That was part of my
Okay, all right, okay,
so
fine.
Ad Astra was my thing.
Stop showing off the fact that you have a life. Right. Okay, I've started the 7-minute timer now, so can you quickly tell us what Ad Astra is about?
Ad Astra is about an astronaut. His name is Roy McBride, and he is played by Brad Pitt. He is the son of a astronautical, if that's the right word, legend, who is played, his father, who is played by Tommy Lee Jones, and he is this sort of legend, Dr. Clifford McBride. And Clifford McBride, 20 years prior to the start of this film, had gone off into space, into a deep space exploration, on a mission to find intelligent life anywhere in the galaxy. Their aim is to look through all of the solar system and then eventually to look beyond to see if there's any life within our solar system and then beyond the solar system. And he's basically last heard of, he sort of disappeared in the area of Neptune. So as far as we're concerned, the far reaches of space. Now, this film is set in the future where space travel is obviously much accelerated. Because at one point they go from the moon to Mars in something like 19 days. And normally, in our technology, it would take something like 2 or 3 years to get to Mars. So you know that it's in the future, but we don't know when. But it's certainly sort of technology more advanced than us, but it's still recognisable as an Earth that we would probably recognise.
Yeah, it's kind of like advanced technology, but you still have to go to the moon using a space shuttle, but it takes a lot shorter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's things that you think, and the suits all look very. So they're not sort of strolling around in their jumpsuits as in Star Trek, but they have sort of the astronaut suits are very recognisable as classic shapes and forms that we're used to. And so basically, there's whilst on a mission on the International Space Station, which is recognisable, but a couple of generations further on than we would recognise it as the International Space Station of today.
Yeah,
he's working on that when there's this surge. And the surge basically fries a lot of... It's like an EMP burst almost. It sort of fries a lot of electrical activity and it causes damage. And around the world, it's just caused devastation, 43,000 casualties as a result of this sort of electronic surge thing. And the scientists in the know have traced this power source back to the region of Neptune. And they think, could this be caused by Clifford McBride, who they now believe is not missing, but is in the region of Neptune still alive.
Dun, dun,
and
dun.
doing strange things. Drama. And so then that's the story basically is then him, Roy, going to then find out what really has happened to his father by way of Mars on his way to Neptune. And then there's lots of inner conflict and inner drama ensues.
Yeah, a few bits and bobbins is going on there. I think there's a lot of nods to other films in this, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like there's definitely nods to 2001. Hell of a lot of nods to 2001.
I thought Silent Running.
Silent Running's another one.
Moon by Duncan Jones.
And I even thought Apocalypse Now with the when he's talking to himself.
Yes.
With the
the bit Martin Sheen has
where he's on
monologue.
the boat. Yeah, monologues. Yeah, and he's doing a monologue in his.
Yeah.
Well, he does a couple, doesn't he? But yeah, so certainly got nods to a lot of science fiction films, and
that tone is very much low key. The low key colours, all the colour palette is quite sort of mellow and sort of low key. Yeah, it had very much that feel.
I mean, to me, how I think they were going to do that, though, I did like that idea of them going to Mars because that was the plan. I think that is what the plan of what's going to happen. That is they build a moon base, and then from there they because they can get the extra.
And the Mars base is largely subterranean, so it's all below ground on Mars.
Yeah, that bit was a bit strange. And there's a couple of bits in this as well, which sort of digresses. I think with this film, didn't really know what it wanted to be. Whether it wanted to be a sort of thriller, whether it wanted to be a space film, or just the. I
think you could, going back to my sort of prosiness, I think you could probably write a really decent essay on the uses of spirituality and religion in this film as well.
Yeah.
It is littered with biblical references and loads of nods to different sort of faith groups. So I think you could look at aspects of spirituality in this film as well, and find that there's several essays worth in there.
Well, okay, the fact that you're referencing essays and stuff like that tells you, I think it tells you the kind of film this is. It's a thinker.
Yes.
It's essentially thinking hard science fiction, so to say, whereas one step removed. And it's really, and I think a lot of questions okay, what does things like isolation in space do to a person? Why do people go to the stars? And it has all these sort of philosophical questions in there. And I know that you were just talking about a lot of different films that it sort of references. For me, I felt like this film was where Gravity and Interstellar meet.
Yes.
Yeah,
so I think
there are nods to Interstellar as well.
I think to watch this in IMAX or in one of those super large formats,
immersive things.
I think that's where you need to watch it. I wouldn't mind watching this again, but if I was to watch it again, it would definitely be on an IMAX.
I'd scale it up a bit.
Because I think I could see you're exactly right. Gravity. I mean, I saw Gravity in IMAX, and it was absolutely fantastic. And yet I've watched it when it wasn't, and it's like, oh well, it's not quite as. But because. Yeah, that was up in London when I saw it, and it was fabulous. I remember Gravity thinking, "Whoa," because that was an experience,
Yeah.
And although there were slow moments in it, you felt like you was actually in space.
You see, now the thing with this film is that I think obviously when we talk about Gravity, this film is slow, and anybody should know it's slow, and it will not be everybody's cup of tea. I think that
it's 2.5 hours long.
It's 2.5 hours long of slow travel, of slow going through things.
Yeah,
let's go through.
But then 2001 was like that. 2001 was like that, and people now look at that and say what a terrific movie it was.
Yeah, I know. My point is, like, for instance, my brother, he was asking me to recommend a film to him, and if I was going to recommend a film to my brother, it would be, okay, something blows up and there's a happy ending, pretty much. So, because my brother tried watching 2001 and hates that film. He thinks like, he thinks like that's like the Emperor's New Clothes. It's pull the wool over everybody's eyes. That is not a good film in my brother's eyes. So, for my brother, I would not be recommending Ad Astra whatsoever, because it's a film where you want to sit down and it's going to be slow, and you want to do a little bit of thinking, and you want to figure out, maybe going to the moon is not the best thing. Maybe going up to the reaches of space, as noble as it is, might drive somebody mad. And so, like, there were things in this film that I totally expected. There's weird things where you have really, really famous actors who show up for like 15 seconds and disappear and don't show up in the film ever again.
Yes, they just don't have much. And a lot of some of the characters you're thinking, they're interesting, and then they're gone.
Yeah, gone. Because it's all focused on this Roy McBride, Brad Pitt thing. Yeah. So I think, as you said, it's a film that we could talk about for ages. But I think the main thing I would say is it's thinky, it's philosophical, it's slow. If that doesn't sound like a kind of bag, avoid like the plague, because you will hate this film and hate the 3 hours that you sat down there for, or 2.5 hours that you sat down there for. So, what would you guys give this film?
See, I liked it. I liked the pace of it. I liked the feel of it, and I liked what it had to say to me. So for me, I'd give it a 4.
Okay.
And I would say I have to say I do concur with Sharon on this. I thought it was a really, really good movie. I could totally understand what you say. If you don't like long movies or thought films you've got to think about, it wouldn't be your cup of tea. But no, I agree. I'm going to give this a 4.
The thing is, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. But there were bits where I was thinking, you're dragging a bit. And I, essentially, at the end of the film, I was like, well, that's what I thought was going to happen. so yeah, I thought that's what I thought was going to happen. And, so I'll give it a 3.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3. All right, cool. And now, coming up against Ad Astra in the red corner, which is the Netflix corner, we have Disenchantment. Now, Disenchantment is the... Oh, hang on, let me just start this timer up. Disenchantment is the first TV series that Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, has made for a streaming platform. So, obviously, he made The Simpsons, then which is still going. It's like this massive worldwide phenomenon. I mean, all I have to say is The Simpsons, and everybody knows what that's about. And then he made Futurama, which was all about the future. It was all about, okay, we're going to go into the future, and it's like, it's almost kind of like he takes the sort of Simpsons satirical, jokey thing and takes it from, and applies it to a future world, which he was really talking about our world, but it's like a future world where people can fly around and all that kind of stuff. And Disenchantment is a show that sort of takes that sort of same Futurama template, but applies it to sort of fantasy world, or like I keep saying this word wrong. Medieval. Sharon,
medieval. That's how I always say medieval because
medieval. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
because that's how we say it in England.
Yeah. So yeah, it applies it to a medieval sort of time frame. And in this, you have the main character is a princess called Princess Tiabini, but she is not. She's kind of like almost. She's not your typical princess, let's put it that way. Well, everybody is like a big part of the first season was all about her being like. Oh, by the way, this is season 2. I finished watching season 2, and a big part of the first season was all about her, being married off to somebody so that they could unite 2 kingdoms. And she's like, I don't want to get married to somebody. I want to go out there. I want to get drunk. I want to go out party. As she's known in the town because they live in a place called Dreamland, and she's known in the town as just this crazy wild child. I would say think Prince Harry, before he grew up and grew a beard. So it's the story, and the difference between something like The Simpsons and Futurama, which this thing is going to be, is just it's an inevitable comparison. Is that this is not episodic, in The Simpsons, what happens from week to week doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you can watch it in any order, and often they show them in random order, don't they?
Yeah, they show. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's like, oh, this happened. Forget about that. This happened. They've been 10 years old for like 10 years. Bart has been 10 years old for 30 years. So it doesn't really matter. But in Disenchantment, this one is actually kind of like a story that goes on from one episode to the next. So each episode is kind of like carrying on what happened in the last one. And in this, she has a sidekick called Elfo, who is an elf who escapes the elf wood to go see what's in the real world. And he hangs out with her, but is in love with her, but it's obviously unrequited. And she has a demon called Lucy, who has been sent to sort of corrupt her like she needed any help. And so at the end of season 1, it's sort of finished in a place, and then season 2 carries on. And you have this really weird structure that they have, where it's a story that carries on, but at the same time, they almost sort of have... They act like things that happened in the last episode don't really affect the story, so to say. So in the last episode, they'll be like, oh my god, she's trying to kill us all! She's evil! Da, 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 da. Then in the next episode, they've forgotten about that person.
Yes.
And then that person doesn't come back until later. And I felt, in the first season that I watched, I felt that it was a show that was trying to find its feet. And it found it a little bit more in the season 2, but it's still kind of like, I'm not sure what I'm getting from this show. I'm not sure what you're trying to do. It's not as focused as in its satire as The Simpsons or as Futurama, and you're watching it going, it's kind of good, that's kind of funny, oh, I see what they're trying to say there, like, talking about, obviously you're talking about this stuff all the way back in medieval times, and it actually wouldn't happen there because you're actually really making a commentary about today. I get it, but what? So it's good. There's some funny bits in it, but it's a little bit unfulfilling, I have to admit. Disenchantment is a little bit, it leaves me a little bit disenchanted. Good lord.
Oh.
Good lord. But yeah, so...
I guess the animation's the same as The Simpsons then, obviously, is it?
And Futurama has that look about it, doesn't it?
No, it looks... it doesn't look anything like The Simpsons, but it looks a lot like Futurama. And they actually do hints to sort of show... to suggest that this and Futurama are set in the same universe, but obviously millions of years apart. So they do that, but I mean that it's quite good. You have what's his name? Matt Berry. Matt Berry plays a prince who gets turned into a pig by drinking a weird potion and everything like that. He's quite funny. The King Zog. The characters are quite funny, but there's some times where it just doesn't sing. Like, I mean, if you go around about seasons 4 or 5 of The Simpsons and some of Futurama's episodes, they absolutely just sing, and you're like, okay, now this is genius. And this show suffers because it's always going to be compared to them. It doesn't quite sing. It's a little bit labored in places, and there's some times because they do some sort of cliffhangers for you to come back for the next episode. And I think I will watch the next. I think I will watch the next season of Disenchantment. But I'm not particularly waiting for it or baying for it or going, oh my god, yes, please, bring it now. So, yeah, I'll give it a 3 out of 5.
Okay. 3.
Cool.
Okay.
Disenchantment.
So, yeah, that is round 1. Ooh, look at that. That's interesting. Cinema versus... okay, that's it. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Now, we're going to go back to cinema. And we're going to talk about a film that we held up from last week. And this was a film called Wolf that, Shaun, you saw.
Wolf. I did, yes.
Yeah. And we're talking about that it's interesting because this seems to be a companion piece to another film you saw a couple of years ago.
That's right, yeah. On the mainland, I saw a film called The Necromancer. And we did do a review of that. I'm sure I did a review of that.
Yes.
Now, this is obviously done by the same people, or... I mean, I don't know to see if it's done by the same people, but it's more or less shot exactly the same. And it seems to be shot... These films seem to be shot in that natural light.
Yes.
You know, like The Revenant?
I know, yeah.
You know how The Revenant was? And... And this story, basically, this is like, it's in Britain, and they decided there's something going on up in Scotland, up in Caledonia. So the Romans, it's Romans times, the Romans decide to send 10 of their best men up there to find out what's going on. They've heard there's this plague, horrible plaguey type thing. It starts off really, really slow, to be fair. It starts off, and there's a lot of... like shots of the forest and scenery shots, a bit like, I don't know if you've ever seen those films like Centurion.
Yeah, and Centurion.
It's the shot. They seem to dwell a lot of time on the woods and the valleys.
Well,
and
in
the
those
hills.
days, Britain was largely forested, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. And it looks really, really, visually, it's...
And there are lots of myths about... The Romans had these strange ideas about all the monsters and the dragons and things lurking in the British Isles, because it was a misty, shrouded, forested land of weird people.
That's it. And I mean, there are a couple of... There's
there.
they do. And there's like they have the woad and all that, because they've got a scout, they've got like a scout who's like a woman... I don't know what you call them, Briganti or whatever they were.
Whatever
up in
tribe,
there,
whatever part of the country they're from.
That sort of, but slowly and surely, things happen and they hear noises. This film, it's really, really strange. I don't know whether I like this film or not. It's difficult. No, it's really difficult to say. I thought visually it was really good, and I think it could have been a lot better. I think they could have turned this into perhaps. Like I'm trying to find a horror movie that would scare me. Because there's quite a lot of suspense. It builds up.
Is it aimed as? Is it supposed to be a thriller or horror, or what is it?
I should imagine it's sort of aimed at the horror genre. Okay. I would think, but it's not really. Because there's a few bloody scenes. So the wolf
of the title, is it werewolves we're talking about here?
It is indeed.
Is that what
obviously.
Sort of the legend is? Yeah.
So obviously. So and obviously certain things happen. I don't want to give any plot spoilers away here, but. And to me, I don't know, they didn't...
Is it sort of Dog Soldiers like, but set in the Roman times?
I would say that it's not as good as Dog Soldiers, but similar sort of thing. Similar to Dog Soldiers. Definitely along those lines, British film.
British,
Obviously low budget.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry, Kitos.
Is it like one of these films where... a group of Roman soldiers go up there and then start getting picked off one by something out there in the woods.
Something out there in the woods, yeah. So and you hear the noises, and you never really actually. I think what's disappointment. It's not really. They're not like.
Because in Dog Soldiers you do get to see the wolf. Yeah. It's more suggested than
a lot. It's a lot of suggested, and then towards the end you actually see.
Well, actually, one of my favourite films, Snow Beast, the 1970s version. You don't actually see full-on Snow Beast until towards the end of the film.
Yeah. So that goes along these lines. But the acting is very much the same as Necromancer. So I wondered if some of the actors are the same, perhaps. So it looks like it to me. I mean, I don't really go too much in like productions, but I would imagine that they would have been so I'm just having a look on the computer here, and he was
the same producer.
Same producer, so obviously
but you say it's the same producers, but are the films actually linked? Like in the storyline of the film, is the storyline of this film linked to Necromancer?
No, I wouldn't say so. Because Necromancer takes place in the Napoleonic times. So
Okay.
that's
I need
like,
to check out the Necromancer. I think.
Yeah,
sounds like it could be one of my top of films.
So the Necromancer, it ran along the same lines, but it was basically British soldiers deserting from the Napoleonic Wars and going into the forest because it's basically the only way, and encountering some strange things. I think these films and this wolf film is one you're either gonna like or think what a load of rubbish that was. Don't waste all that time for you. Pardon?
I can't find this film anywhere. I can't find anything about this film.
Wolf 2019. If you put in Wolf 2019, you should.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it came to the islands. It came to Cineworld on the Isle of Wight for 1 week. Literally had 2 showings, so it had something like 14 showings for 1 week. Then it disappeared because I was on holiday that week. Otherwise, I probably would have gone to see it. You've probably
gone to see it. So you were aware of it, yeah?
I saw it on there. I thought, what's Wolf? And then I saw it, looked up something about it. And thought, I should go and watch that. And then when I came back from my holes, it was not there.
I tell you, it's so weird, Cineworld.
But the Isle of Wight Cineworld is a bit strange like that. You often get films for just 1 week.
Yeah.
Because often you think, surely a 2-week run is like the minimum. But no, we just get them for 1 week.
And then you don't get films which are really big, and they even show the trailers for. I mean, there's a film I really wanted to see called The Farewell, which I wanted to see, but it's out there. And so I'm going to have to rely on you for that one, Toes, if you get a chance. The Farewell, that's not on the island.
No.
They just don't even come.
And it won't come.
Okay, now other sort of like regular listener. We have two regular listeners. We have other regular listener, Holly. We're gonna have to rely on her for that because she got in touch with me, going, "Have you seen The Farewell? Loved it." And I couldn't. The Farewell is not showing anywhere near me. And she was asking if we were going to talk about it, and I was like, unfortunately, I don't think The Farewell is coming to the provinces, so that's going to be like a London thing. So I think like we might have to sort of like hire Nina or Holly to be our London correspondents and tell us about all those tiny films that we don't get to see because we live somewhere where houses are affordable.
They're up in the smoke and we're just in the sticks.
Yes, so I think for next week we're going to get Holly on, and Holly's going to tell us about The Farewell because I don't think any of us are going to get to see it before it leaves cinemas.
No.
All right, cool. So, Shaun, how many stars would you give Wolf?
Well, as I say, I'm going to have to give this a 3 because I don't know. I didn't hate. Put it this way, I didn't hate it. I think it could have been a lot better, and I think it could have possibly, gone way up high. But there were some moments in it where there's just a few things that I had a few issues with, and I thought, well, I don't know. So I'm going to give it a 3. I'm going to be a wishy-washy 3 on this one.
Do you think it got held back by his budget or something like that?
Possibly, yeah. Possibly because it was obviously done on a very, very small budget. You could tell that. All right. The costumes and so.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Good. And now, thank you. So that is the second. That's the beginning of round 2 with cinema, and now we go back to Netflix or the Netflix world to a show that Shaun you claim to not like. You came onto this, 3 shows ago.
Last week, yep.
No, 3 shows ago, you started off going, yeah, you know what, I started watching this show, everybody's been raving about it, I don't think I'm going to keep watching it, it's not that great. Last week you came on and you were like, yeah, I finished season 1, but I'll start watching season 2, but it's not really that great, I don't think I'm going to keep watching it. And here we are on this show, and you have finished watching season 2. So you claim to not like this show, but you keep watching it. Now.
Well, I guess the reason why, Tosin, is I thought, well, I better have something to review. So, and I got halfway through the second season, I thought I better see the second half.
And so let me guess, you're going to tell me, don't really like it, but I'm not going to watch season 3, and then next week, guess what's going to happen?
I'm exactly right. Yeah, you can read me like a book, can't you, mate? You read me like a book, yeah.
So this is Peaky Blinders season 2, by the way, for anyone who's wondering what it's about.
It's just like Peaky Blinders season 1.
I think season 3 onwards it takes a change. You get the bigger bads coming in.
And the end of the.
But Tom Hardy makes an appreciate.
I like in these ones. Yeah, he's the best bit. He's absolutely brilliant.
The London. You still see a bit more of the London crime scene.
I do really like Tom Hardy. I don't like the Italian guys. What's his name? Scolati or whatever is the other gang. The one that.
Oh yes, I can't remember.
Yeah. But the end of this series,
Tom Hardy's character.
Definitely Tom Hardy. But the end of this, the last episode in this series, really, I thought you have got to be kidding me. So I'm afraid that's probably done it for me. Just that one. But you tell me that the other ones are better.
Well, no, I think I don't say they're necessarily better, but you get differently. Like the season 3. Yeah. It's not a spoiler to say in season 3 you encounter the Russians. Ooh. Who are fleeing Tsarist Russia, where it's just they're Tsarist Russians who are fleeing into Britain because of the revolution. So they're White Russians, as the term was, because they're Tsarist.
That'd be
and so you have sort of things with the Russians in season 3. In season 4, you encountered the American Mafia.
Me. Oh right, okay, American Mafia. Now we're talking.
They come to Birmingham, and then in season 5, obviously it's the more political world.
Yeah. Oh, right, okay. Well, I may do then. You never know. I may start watching again because I do like Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is class. Total class, isn't he? He's everything commended. I must be fine.
That's how they get you, Shaun. That's how they get you.
That's how they get you. Yeah, they do. But with old Cillian there, right, I'm starting to find myself getting a little bit fed up with his cigarettes, staring, tapping, and thinking, and obviously in his own thoughts. And I'm thinking, come on.
Season 1 and 2 are the most similar in the Peaky Blinders world, because you've got the similar structure for both of them. And I think when they start expanding the world a little bit, you begin to.
But you can understand the ending of series 2, can't you? Remember it?
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, well, anyway, that's and that's happened a couple of times, cars and stuff and all that, and I'm like, whoa, and I just, charm life, I guess. Yeah. Like, is he Irish?
He's Irish, but the character isn't.
No. Yeah,
character's a Brummie.
No.
They're Brums,
they're Brums,
and they're with sort of gypsy ancestry rather than Irish, so they have more of the
the more
the sort of the luck of the Egyptians.
That's
it. They have more of a mythology about them.
Yeah, and also his sister. What's his sister's name? Like the matriarch of the family. Pole, yeah, but Pole and.
Is that the one played by Helen McCrory?
She's getting on my nerves a bit, you know what I mean?
Helen McCrory. Oh, yeah, she does wind you up all the way through.
She's pretty good in the first one, but I'm getting fed up with her now. She's like, oh, come on, silly woman. So I think
if you're going to be annoyed by them, then they carry on being annoying. They don't really change in any way.
I think that Esme's quite a good character, the one that's married to the other one, because, she knows, although she acts a bit dumb, she's quite smart, so she's smarter than what they think, and I think he, what's his name again in the series?
Tommy.
Millions? What's his?
Tommy.
Yeah, Tom Shelby.
Tommy. Yeah, I reckon he sort of takes quite a lot of credence with because he often says, doesn't he? Oh, let her speak. Let her speak. So, although he does, but yeah, strange. I don't know. I just finding it.
See, I haven't actually managed to finish watching season 5 yet, just because it's booking television time in my house is a bit tricky.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I am so desperate to see the last 2 episodes of season 5.
So if you would have, just out of interest, Sharon, what would you have given season 1 and season 2?
I really rated season 1. I mean, I've seen season 1 2 or 3 times, so I would give that a solid 4.
Okay.
Maybe, and I would say the second subsequent series I haven't loved them as much,
no.
So they would be 3.5 / 4 rather than a solid 4.5. So I would sort of rate the first one really highly, and the other ones less so. So I'd probably say start off with a 4.5, then go down to a 4, then 3.5, and then I'd probably stick around about the 3.5. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I may, if you said Russian mafia, that's quite, or white Russians, that's quite interesting, and probably the same thing will happen, sort of dodgy deals and lucky breaks.
Yeah, and he's got a charmed life.
You sound like
have you seen it at all, Toes? Just that interest.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any of it, but it sounds like how I feel about The Walking Dead. So, Shaun, what would you give Peaky Blinders season 2?
Season 2, purely for Tom Hardy, because I like Tom Hardy. I'll give it a 3. But I can't give it any more than that. Yeah, okay, I can't give it any more than that.
All right, so 3 for 3, and shall give it a 3.5. Do the third, carry the 1, and then divide it by 2. All right, cool. That gives us a. No, that's wrong. Oh no, that's right. Okay, cool. And now we're gonna go for one BBC property to another BBC property, and this is going over to Fleabag, but not the show on BBC 3, but the origin of the show. So a couple of weeks ago, we spoke about the National Theatre Live, where Sharon, you were talking about Margaret Atwood, and you went to see the Margaret Atwood in the cinema. And the same day you were talking about that, that we spoke about that on the show, I was, if I remember correctly, surrounded by naked people at Goodwood. Oh, by the way, I showed up on TV in the Goodwood.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. If you go onto the ITV hub and you look for Goodwood Live, the live show that they did, it starts off with the sort of like Italian Job homage, and I have maybe a half a second thing on the screen, but it's very, very obviously me doing my most hammy Big William impression of driving the bus and with a cigarette in my mouth. I mean, I watched the thing and I was like, oh my god, that is terrible. So yeah, I show up. So if you're watching on the ITV hub, look for Goodwood Live, and I show up in the first 3 minutes. So then you can stop, and you can stop watching you can ignore the rest of it. But so after that, I went to go watch Fleabag, which was the National Theatre Live, and because Phoebe Waller-Bridge had decided to put on the original show that she took to Edinburgh that created the TV show. And I think this one probably works best for a National Theatre Live than most other things, because for the entire thing, it's pretty much almost like a stand-up, but apart from the fact that she's sitting down. So you know what you were talking about, Sharon, about walking in there and the way they pipe in the noise from the theatre.
Yes.
So you had that, but the funny thing about it is that it was replicated in the cinema, because this was the most packed cinema screen I have seen in like years. I mean, this thing was, in the entire screen, there were probably about 10 seats left.
Wow. And even the Hobbit seats at the front.
Yeah, well, it was the Hobbit seats at the front. Those were the ones that were left. But even people were sat in them. I was in the second row. I think that was the only seat I could get. And in the cinema I went to, this was showing on 2 screens. So it was doing
wow. So it's seriously popular. Yeah,
it was seriously popular. So when I walked in, because I walked in, I said on Twitter, I said I managed to take my seat just before she took hers, because the entire thing is her sat down on one seat and essentially for 90 minutes telling you the story of her life, which sort of coincides with the first season of the show, which I absolutely love the show. I think that she's brilliant. I think that her writing is so great. It takes you from gross to oh my god, to laugh out loud, to heartbreaking, usually in 2 sentences. And in 2 sentences, she takes you from one place to, and you're like, oh my, how did she do that? And it's just such a well drawn out character, just such a well thing done. But anyway, when I walked into the cinema, the place was just packed and it was hubbub-ing, and you could feel this sort of sense of anticipation. And it was pretty much like being in the theater, because she's essentially sat down talking to you as the audience for 90 minutes. It felt like being in the theater, but not having to go down to London, which was pretty cool. So as an experience, I actually really, really liked it, and it made me want to go do more National Theatre Live things. The difference is that I think it would be a bit more difficult with an actual play, as opposed to something where somebody's talking to you. I think I'm interested to go see it. Because I really, really enjoyed it. I thought, I love Fleabag anyway. I think that the writing is genius. I think that it is one of the most heartfelt things about humans. Just one of the most human things I think I've seen in ages. And I would recommend anybody catch the TV series, because I know they've put some other dates on in cinemas for the National Theatre Live thing. But I would recommend anybody. Yeah,
they do They call them encores, don't they? They do National Live encores.
Yeah, and I know that they put some dates on for that again. And if they can, I would say recommend go find it. It's worth the 18 quid. And but otherwise, catch Fleabag on the BBC iPlayer. It was a brilliant thing. I would give it a 4, and that's for the experience and for the show itself. I think that it was just really, really good, and I think that woman's wonderful.
Yes.
All right.
It's surprisingly how well it works, doesn't it, when you go to the cinema to have a theatre experience, and it does actually work quite well.
Yeah,
I think they've been doing it long enough now. They've sort of ironed out all the sort of wrinkles that they had in it early on, but no, it really does. It does. It works. You feel like it's a cinema experience. We went to see Macbeth, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Macbeth. We went to see that, didn't we?
That's it. Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool, wasn't it?
That was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, they can be quite good. I nearly went. I mean, this is me being the thing. I nearly went. They had a Motown thing on Monday. Yes. They had like the origins of Motown, and I choose the unlimited card, but you still had to pay. You couldn't use the unlimited card.
Yeah,
you often with these cinema events.
For National Theatre Live
these
things.
Ones, you have to pay.
Yeah.
Which comes as a shock. We're so used to just strolling in free that when you have to pay, it's like, hey, hang on a minute.
Yeah, I know. You feel like morally outraged.
Yeah.
Another thing happened to me this week. I actually wrote about this on Facebook. That there's a TV show I'm watching at the moment called The Good Place. I actually thought I might actually be recommending it or reviewing it this week. But it's been released in the old-fashioned way on Netflix, where it's an episode a week. And I didn't realize this. On the side watching season 4, episode 1. By the way, if you can find The Good Place, I can totally recommend The Good Place. It is a brilliant show. And so I was watching season 4, episode 1, and it finished. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll just watch the next episode. And the next episode wasn't immediately available, and I felt morally wronged. I felt like, what? Netflix? I'm going to write to my MP. How very dare you deny me the next episode?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah, so what do you mean, wait a week?
I know. I was like, wow. How quickly things change.
And I've got so used to doing this sort of whole binge watching thing that when something is on weekly, I tend to record it and then watch it all at the end when they're all there, so I can go from one episode to the next. So I'm sort of still I generally do wait until everything's been broadcast, and then I watch it over a couple of days when it's all finished.
I'm not gonna lie, that's what I'm thinking of doing with The Good Place, because I don't think I can take this sense of moral outrage every single week. But, all right, cool. So that's 4 for Fleabag, and now we're gonna move on to Netflix with a film called Heart Beats Loud. Oh, I saw this as well. Okay, so this is something that I saw, and this is a film starring Nick Offerman. Nick Offerman, who you might know as having one of the best mustaches in the world. Do you guys know who he is?
Yes, I know the actor.
Yeah, Nick Offerman. He's probably best known for playing Ron Swanson in Parks and Recreation, but he plays a guy who runs a record store and used to be in a band with his wife. He's had a kid with his wife, and she died a while back, but he still has this this dreams of music, and he just loves the music. He's essentially like a sort of music snob. Like if you've ever seen High Fidelity, and if you think about John Cusack in High Fidelity, he's a little bit like that. So this is one of those films where not much happens. It's one of those sort of indie. It's probably like if somebody said what's an indie comedy, go look at this film. Go look at Heart Beats Loud on Netflix. That is an indie comedy. So not much happens, and it's about he's always had these dreams of making it big in a band, and his daughter is studying to become a doctor. She's going to be leaving to go to university. He's in New York. She's going to be in LA, so she's going all the way across America, going away from him. And he keeps saying, "Come on, let's jam, let's come jam with your old man." So she eventually gives in, and they just sort of mess around making music and all that. And they find out that then he gets the song and he puts it up on Spotify, and people start listening to it. And so he starts getting all these dreams, and he's like, oh my god, we could do this, we could do a dream. Someone wants to sign us. She's like, Dad, I'm going to be a doctor. He's like, no, but come on, you could be a doctor anytime. We could be a... And they have this really, really interesting relationship. And I love the way it's sketched out, because you can see from the word go that because the mom hasn't been around, as they've grown up, at some point in this relationship, she became the parent. And so he's the one who goes on and he says for your music, and he goes and spends money on like a sample board, and she's like, how much does this thing cost? Dad, we can't afford this. Take it back right now. And I love the way their relationship is, and it's really just about their relationship. They have other things, like she has a girlfriend, and and it's about how that plays into her decision as to whether she's going to leave or whether she's going to hang around, and how that kicks in some of the songs that I had written. And it really, the storyline of the thing is essentially daughter's leaving. He wants to make music. He's trying to figure out where his life is, because now that she's leaving, what does he do? Does he keep the record store open or not? They write some songs, and that's pretty much all that happens in the film. But it's one of these things that's really it's pretty much a mood piece. It's about the way the film goes, and it's about the way you're in there. It's just really, really indie. I quite liked it. I thought the songs were great. I thought that the performances were really, really good from Nick Offerman, from Kiersey Clemons. It has Toni Collette in it. It has Ted
always worth turning up for.
Yeah.
Ted Danson. Whoa.
Yeah, it has Ted Danson in it, who plays a bar-owning marijuana... Essentially, he plays a bar-owning, 60-something-year-old pothead. Frankly. And you can see that it's kind of like... He's having the time of his life. He's just loving the fact that he's like, yay, I get to play a pothead and all that. But it works quite well. And it has someone that, Shaun, I think you would be quite interested about, Sasha Lane.
Yeah, go on, remind me.
Sasha Lane, American Honey.
Oh, American Honey. Oh, right, okay. Oh, wow. I wondered what had happened to her, because she sort of appeared in that, and then... Oh, right, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, she was in Hellboy that you saw earlier this year. So...
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, but she's in there. She plays the daughter's girlfriend. So she plays the girlfriend of Kiersey Clemons' character. And I thought it was quite a nice film. It was quite a charming film. And it's the kind of film that I watched, and one of the songs I actually rewound so I could listen to the song again. Which was...
okay.
Yeah, it's a song that Nick Offerman sings about his character losing his wife and having to raise a kid and all that kind of stuff. It's a really, really good song. I think it's called Shut Your Eyes. But I would recommend... if you like songs, if you like films about music or films about people writing songs, I can recommend this film a lot. I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Wow. High scoring week.
There you go, high scoring week. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, but
I might have to check that one.
Yeah, but a bit like with Ad Astra, I will warn you, if you don't like indie films where nothing much happens, avoid like the plague.
Yeah. I quite like indie films where not much happens.
Yeah, they can be quite good sometimes, can't they?
Yeah, they can. I think this is one of the good ones. It's one of the good ones. So Hearts Beat Loud. I would recommend it. Right, and we're rushing through this because I want to get you guys out of here in about 10 minutes. So now we go back to cinema and we have a film called Ready or Not.
Ready or Not, yeah.
Sean, I've been talking for a while.
All right, have you seen this? Yes,
I've seen it. Yeah,
you've seen it. You haven't yet, have you?
No.
Okay, yeah. So, Ready or Not. Basically, story. There's this massive, big family that rich family. Game. They've made a game by making games. They've created this empire, and she's getting married to one of the sons.
Yeah.
And to be accepted into the family, she has to play a game, and the game that comes out decides they sort of just a random, but it comes out Ready or Not, and so this is basically
hide and seek.
Hide and seek, and they basically through the film they've sort of almost made a pact with the devil, and if this card comes and they've got to commit a sacrifice, so they've got to find the person. They give her 100 to get. Well, they play this little record. They go we hide and seek anyway, and then so she has to peg it, and obviously.
Oh, so it's a horror film then.
I guess so. I guess you'd call it. It's like a comedy horror film,
okay.
maybe.
I think I'll put it. It's kind of like the Evil Dead, like the Evil Dead movies. Are they comedies or are they horrors? Are they comedies where horrific things happen, or are they horror things with funny moments?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Probably that's a better analogy of it. Because as it's got some bloody but. When the whole cinema laughs or giggles or titters, you know that it's sort of because there are some good moments in this.
Right.
I was mildly surprised from the trailers and stuff. I was thinking, I'm not really sure. I'm going to watch it because it'd be interesting. But yeah, it ended up really, really, really quite. Yeah, it was.
I think this is essentially it's a genre film, and it's kind of like a dyed in the wool genre film that there's like, look, this is what we are. We're not going to try and be highfalutin or anything like that. We're a film. It's like one of those things where the premise you can write in, on the back of a stamp. It's like, woman marries into a rich family. On her wedding night, they all try and kill her. That's it. She has to survive until dawn because they all feel that if they don't kill her, they're going to die. And the film, I love the fact that the film plays with the whole thing where you're never sure whether this family is nuts or whether there's actually something behind it.
Yeah. They play it quite well, don't they? Especially the old lady at the beginning. Like everybody's laughing at her to start with.
Yes.
So is it Aunt Helene? Aunt Helene, the aunt, the horrible aunt. Yeah, Helene.
So,
everybody. Yeah.
And it's funny because it's just absurd because you have this woman on her wedding night in her wedding dress. She's still wearing her wedding dress, running around this house trying to avoid getting killed, which sounds like a horrific setup, which it is a horrific setup, but they keep doing things that make you laugh, that make you think. Like they have this whole thing where they have these maids who dress up almost exactly the same in the film,
like the ones, that what's that song goes
yes, the Robert Palmer song.
Yes,
the Robert Palmer.
Yeah,
the Robert Palmer song. The girls
like
with
the
their guitars.
They're
just like that. Yeah.
They are right. Yeah. They're dressed exactly like that, and they have this. But I don't think it's a spoiler to say that something happens to these maids that is very similar to what happens to the dogs in A Fish Called Wanda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very and the way in which it happens, it's kind of like it's quite frankly, it's inviting you to laugh at this horrific stuff. But I think that what really sells it is the performances, especially from Samara Weaving, who I mean, I know I first saw her in a TV show called Smilf, and she was in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri in a very small role. But so she's been doing some good work for a while, but this is kind of like, this could be like the time where everybody goes, oh my god, she's good, because she holds the whole film together throughout even when the most absurd things are happening on screen. She's the thing that grounds it. She's the thing that grounds it.
She's brilliant. I really liked her. I thought, and she's what I liked about it is she wasn't like a screamy like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween.
No.
She was quite savvy. She was quite a savvy little thing, and I liked the bit with the, like you say, she's running about in a wedding dress, and she decides, right, okay, I'm gonna have to slip this thing. It's quite gory and gruesome, mind you, Sharon.
It is.
With the blood, there's some really quite bloody moments, isn't it?
There's a bit with a nail. There's a bit with a nail that's like...
Yeah, that's a bit. That was the bit I was thinking of. Yeah, the bit with the nail was quite gruesome. But I mean, what I liked about it was the determination. Like, it was the only way. It had to be done because it was the only way you're going to survive this thing. You know what I mean? So for me, that's the sort of thing. That's the sort of thing I would do. You know. Well, I don't know if I could, but I say that, don't I? But whether I could or not, who knows? But some of the things I would. Do you know that Samara Weaving reminded me of? Like Margot Robbie.
Yeah,
so
everybody's
got that look.
Robbie.
Everybody's been saying that. Everybody's saying that.
I've seen her little bio. She was in Picnic at Hanging Rock, the TV series, which is quite good from last year. Mm.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, I've been seeing her for years, and you know how it is when you've known somebody before everybody else has found out about it. Like, there's this band that you've known about, that everyone else finds about the band. Everybody starts saying, "Oh, they're a little bit like Coldplay." Like, no, they're nothing like Coldplay. and I feel a bit like that because I've been watching it for a while, and I've never thought Margot Robbie, and now this film's coming. Everybody's going, "Oh yeah, she's got a little bit of the Margot Robbie about her." I'm like, no, she's Samara Weaving. She's her own person.
Yeah. When I saw Samara Weaving, I wonder if it's anything to do with Hugo Weaving from Peaky Blinders, but it's not, I don't think, is it?
It is. Hugo Weaving is her uncle.
Yeah. Oh, right, okay, so it is part of the family, right.
Cool. She's part of the family, but I think it's one of those things where I think essentially this is the kind of film where she's so good in this film that you don't want to sort of like compare her to anybody else, or you don't want to mention the fact that she's Hugo Weaving's niece, or you don't want to mention the fact that, or you don't even mention Margot Robbie because you're like, no, she is great, and she holds this film together, and she makes you, she holds you through everything that goes on. And some of her one-liners, like there's a bit where she just walks around, she just goes, "Oh, effing rich people."
Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of like, you're just kind of like, the fact that that's her reaction to all this is like, it's not that they're stupid or they're evil, or it's just that they're rich. That's what it is.
I mean, I like these sort of characters. Anyway, I like I don't know what it is. I think strong female characters. I like because I like Sigourney Weaving in Aliens and Sarah Connor in the Terminator, or the second Terminator one. And I just think because you see in so many films where they're just like they sort of give in, or they're like screamy squeechy.
Where's the big strong man to come save me?
Run away. Yeah. In here, she she really holds it together, and she holds herself together, and quite I can't really find anything that's really stupidly done, you know what I mean? Like, apart from the family being a bit dumbass, but for her, she's
there's none of those. Oh, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, she's pretty cool. She's good.
The thing about it is that you look at the family and you just think like the fact is that the family don't do this often. Like but you can see it's like they're these incompetent bunch of people who feel we have to do this thing, but they're totally ill-equipped to do it, which is what they have. Like the daughter that's a cokehead, and oh my god, and it's I just think it's so well sketched out. It's so well drawn out. I would give it a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed the film a lot, even though there were bits that made me wince, and there were bits where I was like, okay, I know that's funny, although I'm not sure I should be laughing, but that is funny. They are trying to make me laugh at something horrific here, and they're succeeding, but I don't want to laugh. So I would give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was really, really good.
I'll give it a 4 out of 5 too. Yeah, cool. Definitely, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. So so that's pretty good for that one.
All right, that's pretty good for Ready or Not. I mean, we would totally recommend it. We've had a good week, and now Shaun, it is up to you to let us know, are we going to have a totally good week? Because we've had nothing below a 3 so far. Is this going to round us off in that way, or is this going to be one of those things that, like, how you always complain about how, I think it was 2017, you said the endings of movies just kept letting you down. That the films they'll go really, really well, then they get to the end, and then the end will just be like... So,
how do you? Yeah, I'm sure you're psychic, or you've got some sort of camera that lets I know, that I'm gonna. Yeah. So that's exactly
sure.
Right.
Is this going to be your typical 2017 blockbuster? We've had a good show. Are we going to end on a good? Are we going to end on a good note, or is it going to get messed up? Let us know.
Okay. Well, it's probably going to get messed up, I'm afraid, because
oh no,
because I'm going to have to say this film I watched, The Wolf Brigade. Funny enough, it was recommended to me, And I like the Korean films because I like some Korean films. I think they've been pretty good. And I thought, the Wolf Brigade, this sounds interesting. Basically, the story of North and South Korea. It's a bit in the future. North and South Korea, they're going to reunite. So they're going to reunite, but
that doesn't sound like a good idea to me.
No, doesn't sound like a good idea. But obviously, so they're going to reunite. So they get sanctions, and then you get a few people. You get like a set that doesn't want to unite, and then so there's a special police force formed to combat, and then you've got. And I hate to say this, I think I possibly may have dozed off like 30 seconds. I think I might have dozed off in this one because I was sort of watching it and I thought, I better watch Netflix. Something on Netflix. This looks good. Been recommended. I'll watch this. It didn't know what it wanted to be. It didn't know whether it wanted to be an action film, a romance, because there's obviously a love interest and stuff like that. People running around shooting. The thing is, what's so disappointing is the actual titles when it's explaining everything, North, South Korea, and it shows, it shows like maps and shows what's going on and stuff. I was really, really into that. I thought this is going to be good, and it starts off with a bit of a riot, and I thought, this is interesting. And then it's just like, what's happening now? Now it's just getting bogged down. It's getting really, really
So who
dull.
are the actual Wolf Brigade?
Well, they're like a police thing that's been set up. They sort of set up to a special unit within the police, that are like elite troops, basically.
Okay.
And
they're special forces.
They're special forces, special forces that are made to try and combat these, because the people who don't want the unification, the group that don't want the unification, they're pretty good as well. So, and you've got the odd action scenes, and you've got a lot of running around, and you've got a lot of I think
goings on.
Yeah, it's not really the best, Toes. So you did read it right. I mean, in fact, I would say I'd start. Maybe it's just because the start of it was so good.
So far, the credits at the beginning were really good.
The credit at the beginning are excellent. I mean, that would be the credits at the beginning would get like really, really high.
Yeah.
Right, just for the credits. That bit that had been short lasted maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, this is good, because what I mean, they show maps, and they show it grabs you, and it's like, and then
is it a bit like
nice actions?
Is it a bit like what for me is the height of the film that starts off strong, and then as the film carries on, it's like watching a piece of fruit go bad, which is Terminator Genesis. That film for me is the height of that. Like, it starts to be like, this might be all right.
Yeah.
Oh, this might be going on. Oh, wait, what's happening? Wait, no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. It ended.
Oh crap.
Oh no.
Oh no.
That's it.
Oh good lord. No.
Yeah. It ends with it's like, it was exactly that, Tosin. Starts off nice premise, looks good, and then it just went long, dull, boring. The odd bits of action here and there. Not sure if it wanted to be a romance. The acting was bad. Yeah. So I'm gonna just give this one a 2-star, I guess.
Oh no.
2-star.
What a way to end a show.
What a way to end a show after it's so good. I'm sure you knew something there. Yeah.
Well, we successfully. We have successfully made a 2017 blockbuster.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have made a 2017 blockbuster. It has given you the kind of ending that you absolutely hate. So
yes.
It does. Indeed, yes. Big letdown. But never mind. I think the worst thing as well is it was recommended to me.
Oh.
Yeah.
By somebody somebody who's
never trust them.
Well, is it by somebody whose opinion you valued?
No, not really. It was someone pretty random, because we were talking about Korean movies, and someone said, you like the Wolf Brigade? I thought, okay then. So I talked. It's really, really strange. Yeah, he's like
never listen to them again.
No, I won't. Well, I will. But I mean, it is funny, isn't it? Because you recommend
it's
film,
all
maybe you liked
subjective,
it.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I think he was a bit. I think the guy I spoke to was a bit like the Ted Danson character, though, that you were talking about, because he only remembers films when he's like. He says to me, I said, oh, have you seen so and so film? He goes, I think I might have, but I can't remember if I have or not. So and I think he just spends his time when he does say the films. He goes, "Oh, this is a good film. What was it? What's that good film?" I thought, "Oh, I can't remember." He said, so. But anyway, there you go.
Okay, all right. Enough said about Shaun's friends' extracurricular activities. The less said about that, the better. So
yeah, definitely.
So Oh, but speaking about Korean movies, I was talking about my brother and how, like, for him, something has to blow up and he has to have a happy ending. So he was like, I don't want to watch any film that, essentially, the kind of film that, the kind of film with an ending that makes you think about life. That is not my brother's cup of tea. He's not gonna. He doesn't want to watch that. And so I started going through Korean action movies, and I recommended The Villainess to him.
Oh, that's great. That's a good movie.
Yeah,
top movie.
I think the Villainess. I think it's a great film, but I feel like the first 5 minutes of the film, just kind of like they throw you into it, and it's like head and shoulders above the rest of the film, quite frankly. And yeah. And my brother, he started watching, and he was texting me as I was watching. He was like, "Oh my god, what? Why have I never heard of this film?" Although, Shaun, remember how when we watched it, we were worried that we might be inadvertently racist because there were characters in it that we had trouble telling apart.
yes.
Apparently,
indeed.
It's not just us. My brother had the same problem, and everybody I know who's watched this film has had the same problem. And it makes me wonder. I need to watch this film with a Korean person to figure out if this is actually something that they just messed up in the filmmaking and picked, and they didn't make it clear who was who. Because I think there's some flashbacks in the film that you're really not sure what the heck's going on, and so I'm on a job to find a Korean person and say, all right, please watch this film and tell me, did you get confused as well? Because then I'll find out whether I am actually inadvertently racist or not. But I'll leave you out of this, Shaun. I'll leave you out of it.
Okay.
All right, cool. All that's left to do this week is to tell you who won. And
it's quite a high-scoring week, so it's going to be close.
It was a high-scoring week. It was close. There were a couple of rounds where it was dead even, where both Netflix and cinema were bringing it. And then, Shaun, you were about to say something.
I was just going to say, I probably brought it right down. Might have killed
Netflix.
It. Might have sunk Netflix.
Yeah, Wolf Brigade did it in a high-scoring week of 3 point. Let's see, we had 3.7, 3, 3.25, 4, 4, 4, 2.
Uh-oh.
Yes. So the winner this week is Cinema.
Gotta be Cinema, isn't it? Yay!
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, the winner this week is Cinema. Is good because it's been a couple of weeks since then. And hopefully we will be back next week when we should hopefully have Holly, who will tell us the London thing. Like, tell us, it's great living in London. You get to see films that nobody else does. And tell us about... And she'll get to tell us about The Farewell and tell us what she thought about that. But until that time, all that's left to say is a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me too.
Yes, and Superfan Nina, hope you're happy now. There's 3 of us back. 3 is the magic number.
Yay.
There. See you guys next week.
Bye.